Go and throttle up. This is the Inferno, the Pokemon! Your lies are balloons, they pop in my face. I'll stop on the floor, leave no empty space. A carnival riot, no room for disgrace. Buttons clicking, hearts are ticking. Heads are flying, skies are splitting. Dance with the chaos, spin till you fall. A bird and screech is the end of it all. Round and round until we crawl. This is the Inferno, the Pokemon! The tuba's a demon, the snare drum's a beast. The accordion fury will never be ceased. This is a battle of musical faith. The Pokemon goes harder than hell's unleashed. EJ in his rocket chair, blasting curveballs through the air. Space tape, duct tape, pull the tight. Orbital mechanics all night. Wrench in hand, he'll fix a ride. 1995, finish pride. Rusted balls, car reborn. Screaming engines greet the morn. Orbit King, he's on the screen. Polka beats the punk machine. Welding dreams and cosmic streams. EJ's flying through the sea. Vacuum suits and space news chatter. Satellite, they climb the ladder. Black hole, lost gold, and solar flare. He's the captain of these cosmic affairs. Restoration streams at dawn, turning trash to treasure strong. A hubcap here, a piston there. He's the Twitch King with the space age flair. Jebediah, don't you cry. EJ's here to touch the sky. From Kerbin's orbit to deep space flight. He'll build it wrong, but he'll get it right. We'll get it right. Don't get away.
What's up? Space and Rocket Review. Space and Rocket Review. Yeah, Screamo Ska. Yeah. Scramo. Scramo. Yeah, that's what we'll call it. 5x5, we read it loud and clear. What's going on, YouTube? How you doing? All right, Space and Rocket Review. Let's go. All right. Check this out. My buddy Max took these this morning of Noogles. The Noogles booster from the NG2 mission coming home. Oh, oh. Hmm. Those got a little burnt. Those are the things that open with the landing legs. They got a little burned. Noogles noodles. Yeah. All the FOD covers are on the engines. The blankets got a little messed up. Yeah. They're those little crack-a-lacks that I'm talking about. Is that a station wagon? Where? Where's the station wagon? I didn't see no station wagon. I wonder where the legs are deployed from. Airflow? What do you mean airflow? I think that, yeah, see, this is what I was trying to talk to you guys about the other day. I think this is from the wing flexing. The wing is flexing and it's chipping the paint there. But then again, some of this paint flaking away we saw on liftoff. On liftoff, some of it's gone. So it could be a combination of both. But the way the amplitude of these cracks are going in loops, and the amplitude of the loop seems to suggest wing strain, but I don't know. What's the website that I'm using? What? Is it just the paint? Yeah, it's most likely just the paint, Boyd. What do you mean, you know? This is X or Twitter or something. Whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Yeah, the legs are burned because when they're folded down, the convecting heat from the rocket engine, especially landing, burns the TPS, burns the Comet. They're going to need to come up with a better solution there. Their Comet thermal protection system, that's this gold stuff, that's not working. Now, once again, I think that this might be the wing actually doing this. Like if this is the booster, right? We're looking at it from the front, like a front profile, the wings are doing this. But it's very interesting that they're only doing wings. The wings are only seem to be straining over here. Oh, it looks like some of the thermal protection system did delaminate on the flight control surfaces here just a little bit. RCC on the leg covers, maybe. Yeah, Yarg, that might do it. I mean, yeah, you're gonna need something. Hey, Mirbon, how are you? I hope you have a great stream. I'll see you when I fall asleep. It's almost 1 in the morning. All right, good night. Yeah, see, this all looks good. You could see that they're using... This is the water spots from the condensation on the booster. This is the pattern that's on the inside of these panels, which is very funny to me. They're using a orthogrid, a billet orthogrid design for their tanks. Yeah, interesting. That's cool that you could see it. Yeah, that thing got gacked by the rocket engine pretty badly. Did I call you Yarg? I feel honored to be mistaken for Yarg. Sorry. Cool. So, yeah, these are pictures from my buddy Max over. He's a photographer over with NASA Spaceflight. Pretty good pictures. There's also the sweet ex-military truck moving stuff around. What are we looking at? This is New Glenn. Never tell me the odds. I'm wondering if the other side has that same wear pattern, the paint chipping off. But other than that, this booster looks to be in really good condition. What's the long-term flight plans for their booster? I think this thing's going to fly sooner rather than later, guys. This thing's going. Yeah, Aqualex, that's my guess too. I forget what the name of the truck is. It's a 3-axle, 7-ton truck, I think. It's made by Oshkosh, but I don't remember its name. And they use that to pull that thing around, which is pretty cool. What sort of payload does Amazon have for it? Project Kuiper? Well, it's funny you should mention that, Orange. It's funny you should mention that. They, Blue has... It's very clear that Blue Origin is working on just an absolute, like, plethora of things. And it's very apparent that a lot of the things that they're working on are not something that they've been pretty hush-hush about. Not something that they've been actually talking about. One of them is this. Just interestingly enough, check this out. So we've built a full-scale deployable aero brake unit showcasing technology that uses planetary atmospheres to slow spacecraft. They're working on a cloth heat shield application, an aero braking heat shield. And in their simulation video over here, they just seem to show it aero braking Earth. It's a 1070. That's the name of it, Aqualex. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Aqualex. Thank you, Goalie. So, I think this thing is going to be used for their refueling tugs for aerobraking purposes coming back, which I think is actually super cool.
Discovery, go at
Also, this is definitely the tent that's at LC-11, by the way. So Blue is working on a lot of different things here. And that brings me to this next thing. One of the things that they're working on is this. So that's the rocket that launched for NG2. That's a Saturn V. And then Blue today decided they wanted to show you this. This is called New Glenn 9x4. New Glenn 9x4 is taller than the Saturn V, about as tall as the Starship, almost. And it has the 9x4 namesake. It is 9 BE4s in the first stage and 4 BE3Us in the second stage with an 8.7 meter fairing. The N2 mission is now designated the 7x2 variant. Can we please, for the love of God, just call it New Glenn Block 1 and Block 2? Or New Glenn and 2 Glenn or something? New Glenn 7x2 and New Glenn 9x4. Just, that name, dude. It's like nails on a chalkboard. Glenny 1 and Glenny 2. Mir, we're not calling them that. I thought you said you were going to sleep. I didn't come up with 2 Glenn. Chat came up with that. New Glenn and 2 Glenn or something. Not New Glenn. Blue Origin, New Glenn 9x4 and Blue Origin, New Glenn 7x2. I can't. For the love of God. Please. But this New Glenn 9x4 seems to have an extended first stage and an extended second stage. Glenn XL. There's no stopping this launcher, Glenda. Oh, God. Looks like there are vernier thrusters on the second stage. Those are the boost pumps, rockets. Those are the boost pumps for the BE3Us. New Glenn Block 1 has 2 of them. There's one right there, and then there's another one on the other side. See it? Also, no transporter, erector, or crawler. I wonder if they will get a high bay slot. Yeah, a lot of people are saying that this thing doesn't have a TE. It's just the launch plate. But this tower right here is blatantly LC-36. That's one of the lightning arrestor towers at LC-36. So okay, Mir. I would just like to see what Blue Origin is seeing with respect to the market that requires the 9x4. See, that's what gets very interesting to me, Rocket. That's what I wanted to show you guys. Blue has a whole update thingamajigger here. Let's put that down there for a second. Now, check this out. New Glenn update. Upgraded engines and sub-cooled components drive enhanced performance. Blue Origin announced a series of upgrades to New Glenn designed to increase payload performance and launch cadence while enhancing reliability. The enhancements span propulsion structures, avionics, reusability, and recovery operations, and will be phased into the upcoming New Glenn missions beginning with NG3. One of the primary enhancements includes higher performing engines on both stages. Total thrust for the 7B4 booster engines is increasing from 3.9 million pounds of thrust, 17,219 kilonewtons, to 4.5 million pounds of thrust, or 19,928 kilonewtons. The BE4 has already demonstrated 625,000 pounds of thrust on the test stand at current propellant conditions and will achieve 640,000 pounds of thrust later this year, with propellant subcooling increasing the current thrust capacity from the existing 550,000. Oh. Propellant subcooling. Just, it's densified propellants. Why do you do that? Why do they do that? Stop doing that. Stop doing that. It's not an exoatmospheric retro burn. Exoatmospheric deceleration burn. It's supersonic retropropulsion. Stop it. Stop doing that. Anyway, sorry, pet peeve. The total thrust of the two B3Us powering New Glenn's upper stage is increasing from the original design of 320,000 pounds, 1,423 kilonewtons, to 400,000 pounds, 1,779 kilonewtons over the next few missions. Because we have to be different. Dude, Rocket, that drives me up the wall so hard, man. I don't know why. It's, yeah, because we want to be different. Like, dude, all right, whatever. B3U has already demonstrated 211,658 pounds of thrust on the test stand. They're not getting sued. Supersonic retropropulsion is a NASA term, not a SpaceX term. Not even SpaceX uses it. They call it an entry burn. Surely that can't be anywhere near enough thrust. Starship is closing in on 20 million pounds of thrust. Yeah, one man. Starship is doing that because SpaceX end goal is to be able to move like 200 tons into LEO. That's why they're doing that. I don't know, Rocket Guy. I don't remember. I just wish everybody kept it contiguous. It makes it a lot easier to explain. That's why I get annoyed from it. Anyway, these enhancements will immediately benefit customers already manifested on New Glenn to fly to destinations including low Earth orbit, the moon, and beyond. Additional vehicle upgrades include a reusable fairing to support increased flight rates, an updated lower-cost tank design, and a higher-performing reusable thermal protection system to improve turnaround time. Yeah. 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 Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right, I understand that. And they want to reuse their fairings, too. The next chapter in New Glenn's roadmap is a new Super Heavy class rocket. Named after the number of engines on each stage, New Glenn 9x4 is designed for a subset of missions requiring additional capacity and performance. Rocket Guy, you see that? Department of Defense missions. Yeah. Missions requiring additional capacity. What missions? DoD stuff. The vehicle carries over 70 metric tons to low Earth orbit, over 14 metric tons direct to geostationary, and over 20 metric tons to translunar injection. Additionally, the 9x4 vehicle will feature a larger 8.7 meter fairing. Will Vulcan get more powerful as well? I don't know. But that looks like delamination from that being a landing leg. What's that then? Here, let me show you another thing that I didn't show you before. Look. The skirt's got a little toasty. Anyway, both vehicles, 9x4 and our current variant, 7x2, will serve the market concurrently, giving customers more launch options for their missions, including mega constellations, lunar and deep space exploration, and national security imperatives such as Golden Dome. Yeah, okay. So, Rocket Guy, coming up with a market, interesting thing here. 70 metric tons to Leo, 8.7 meter fairing. With about, if I'm looking at that fairing correctly, dude, comparatively to like a Saturn V, like this one right here, if I'm looking at that correctly, that's about Starship's payload bay. It's close. It's a little bit longer than Starship's payload bay, but that more or less is the same size. I don't think that's a coincidence, dude. It's because that tower is built in a way to accept the crew arm someday. The LC-36 tower. Yes, I know. They even put the mounts for it right there. Interestingly enough. I think that SpaceX designed Starship's payload bay the way they did for a certain reason, and they're doing this too. It's very clear that market trends, albeit the Artemis program, Golden Dome, whatever, government missions, which kind of is Golden Dome too. So Department of Defense stuff is they clearly want a bigger fairing. It's pretty clear. All of the gateway modules could fit in any one of these, except, well, Saturn V notwithstanding. Is there a plan to launch humans on Glen 1 or Glen 2? I don't know. But either way, actually, the other day, guys, I looked through, hold on one second. You know what I just thought? The other day, we were looking through Blue Moon Mark II, which is their crew-rated lander. And I typed in Delta V. Actually, you know what? Let's just go here. Let's see if the wiki has what we're talking about here. Ah, yeah, Blue Moon Mark 1, 21,000. I wonder if that's included with payload. Light mode, you heathen, whatever. There you go. Interesting. So it seems like the bigger New Glenn could put a Mark 1 on translunar injection. Put an NG2 first stage on top of the 9x4 second stage and then make a 3-stage monster. Yeah. I wonder if the bigger wings mean that it's going to go even further down range. It's going to have to. I mean, that first stage is going to have a really long burn time. Also, quick note, they noted cheaper tanks for the second stage and such. I'm pretty sure this is directly related to this mini Blue Origin team space race where one was tasked with a cheap upper stage and one reusable. And maybe that was going to go into 9x4, so I think the cheap upper stage team won. Yeah, maybe. Don't forget they're also building out a kick stage. Yeah. It's just the market is clearly denoting a bigger fairings, dude. If Blue's going to go after it, there's no way they're going to go after it just for... I don't think they'd go after it just because they want to, you know, because Jeff Bezos wants to put more things on the moon. I mean, it's possible. I mean, SpaceX built Starship because Elon wants to go to Mars, but that doesn't mean that you can't have other applications here. Before Starship even started getting developed, SpaceX bid Starship on national security missions. So that's not a coincidence, dude. You know, like the market is clearly trending towards bigger fairings, which is good. Eric Berger just said he thinks Artemis 2 might slip to March. Yeah, well, they're saying no later than April, so... How many Mark 1s are they even going to make? That this might be worth it. Don't know. What's the point of SLS when you have Starship and New Glenn, where both rockets have first stages which come back in perfect condition in a short time? Scrapping SLS would save money for NASA. I was waiting for somebody to ask that. Okay. I think that's a very good point. It's very clear that neither can work with Orion, so there's that. Yeah, it's very clear that the commercial industry is championing reuse. I said with the NG2 landing, guys, that, you know, this shows that landing boosters is not just some fun thing that SpaceX likes to do. It is something that is absolutely a market trend for the industry, and it seems like bigger fairings and bigger payload capacity to low Earth orbit is very much that as well. Now, with all that being said, I think it's becoming increasingly clear that SLS is, well, useful right now. Unless SLS proves its worth and scales, it will get eclipsed in capability. It's going to happen. I really think that well, like for instance, if SpaceX has its way, they absolutely will. Oh man, I'm sorry, my brain isn't working at full bandwidth. It's very clear that if SpaceX has their way, that they'll have a redundant capability to SLS. Now, it is important to note, for the people that are like, oh, SLS is a waste of time, SLS is a waste of time, it is important to note that these events are not something that is going to happen anytime soon. Meaning like this year or next year or the year after that. SpaceX is still a little ways away from human rating Starship. My guess is that would probably be 3 to 4 years. You know, 4 years, barring another Ship 36 level event, right? I personally don't think that we're going to see much more of those, but, you know, hopefully that statement doesn't age poorly, right? But it's becoming increasingly clear that eventually the commercial industry will be redundant. But right now, it's important to understand that it's not. Nothing can do what SLS can do. Nothing. Because there's no market for it. Nobody's built a vehicle that big. SpaceX is working on it with Starship, and it seems like this new Glen 9x4 variant would be kind of useful. Kind of. But also at the same time, you guys want to see something interesting? Here's the penalty for reuse on big rockets. This is one of the exact reasons why SpaceX catches the booster. Here's the penalty. This thing is projected to do 70 metric tons to LEO. You see this thing over here? That thing can do 120 tons to low Earth orbit. Saturn V, if you took this fairing and you put it on top of the S4B right here, could move 100 tons, 120 tons of lead inside of it, and it could get it up into space. That thing couldn't do that. That's the price you pay for reuse with a big stage. SpaceX gets around that problem because they don't have anything that you need to reuse the booster except for the fins. The booster doesn't need landing legs or thermal protection systems because it's made out of stainless. Right? And it just does that. That's why they catch the booster. I mean, look at that thing. It's bigger than a Saturn V. It can do about 60% the payload capacity, interestingly enough. Further reinforcing the theory that if you just mass produced this thing, we would have been pretty inexpensive to do, but whatever. But I digest. Imagine that landing on Jacqueline. Yeah, what the heck is that thing going to land on? I don't know. So it's very clear that SLS is going to be made redundant sooner rather than later. But I would contend to say that getting rid of it is a really bad idea. In fact, FTM, I would say that you're the person that asked that, right? Hold on, let me just make sure. FTGM, excuse me. I would contend to say that getting rid of SLS because under the guise of saving money is just double speak for saying I want to defund NASA at this point in time. Getting rid of SLS does what? It does nothing. That will not get you to the moon faster. Getting rid of SLS at this point is not a good idea. Expanding SLS and mass producing it is the right move. It's always been the right move. I said this in 2018. That's the right move. The reason why that's the right move is because SLS has a capability that no other rocket can offer. It can put people close-ish to the moon. No other rocket can do that right now. Not even Starship is going to take time. And even then, when Starship gets its human rating certification, which will happen, it's going to happen, guys. I'd say, yeah, like 3 to 4 years from now. Even then, Starship has that refueling architecture. SLS gets you there in one shot. It gets you near the moon in one shot, right? If you block buy SLS right now, I get it, the price tag, I understand that. That will make sure that we have a viable pathway to get to the moon for a long period of time while commercial kind of moves up and starts matching the SLS capability. If we bought 40 SLS rockets right now, 40 SLS Block 1Bs, that's 40 upper stages, 40 core stages, 80 solid rocket boosters, and launched them to the tune of 4 times a year for the next 10 years, right? At the end of that program, at the end of at the end of that block buy, right? We'll have a nice lunar base built out. You could build Gateway, you could do all that stuff with Orion, whatever you need to do. And then NASA would look at procurement options for using commercial vehicles to replace it. That's the right move. It's always been the right move. But if SLS doesn't do something like that sooner rather than later, we're truly pissing away money because we paid to the tune of $93 billion. We've paid for the development of this vehicle. Not using it would be stupid at this point. You would actually be wasting money doing that. Just like we wasted money with the Saturn V. Yes, you heard that right coming from me. We spent, what was it, $2 billion in 1969? this Saturn V program is still, the Apollo program is still by far and away one of the most expensive development operations that NASA has ever done. It is the most expensive. Not even close. Now, we paid for the development of that vehicle. And then how many times did we launch the Saturn V? Apollo 4, Apollo 6, Apollo 8, Apollo 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay? We launched it 12 times. We paid for 18, 19, and 20. Those rockets were built. All right? So 15 Saturn Vs. The big problem here is that the reason why the Saturn V carried a heavy launch price tag is because we only launched it 15 times. If we had launched the Saturn V 100 times, that $2 billion investment in the 60s really would have paid off in the form of a moon base, because you have a rocket that works, right? Skylab. Oh yeah, Skylab. I forgot one. Well, Skylab was repurposed from Apollo 18, 19, and 20. It was repurposed from parts from those 3 missions. So, yeah, take that for what you will, for what it's worth. Because we paid for vehicles all the way out to Apollo 20. Not a lot of people know that. We had built Saturn Vs ready to go and didn't launch them. Yeah, real ones, built, made, in the VAB, ready to go, and we're like, nah, we don't want to do that anymore. So that's what I mean about Saturn V being a waste of money, because if we had launched it 100 times, then the cost would have been the cost of development would have been justified. I don't want anybody to get confused though. It wasn't a waste because we went to the moon. It was a waste because we didn't launch it more. Arguably it did its job, and then we were like, man, whatever. We don't need to do this anymore. So, with that all being said, we got to do the same thing with SLS. If we don't do the same thing with SLS, it will truly be a waste. And no, this is not sunk cost fallacy or anything like that. The rocket works. It works. It works fine. The core stage and the SRBs are a good technology that should be utilized right now. Yes, I would agree that it's on its way out with these new commercial launch trends, right? And I will say that reusability is key from now on. Reusability is a market trend. SpaceX, Blue Origin, Relativity. SpaceX, Blue Origin, Relativity, Stoke, Rocket Lab. It's not just something that's a fad. People are all in on reuse. Publicly traded companies like Rocket Lab are all in on reuse. This is happening. So I've been saying, if you're making an expendable vehicle at this point, you're doing something wrong. Expendable vehicles are going to go the way of the dodo, because the market is going to demand reuse. So what I'm saying is getting rid of SLS right now is not a good idea. In 10 years, yeah, sure, get rid of it. But what do? Do we sit and twiddle our thumbs? Should NASA sit and twiddle their thumbs for the next 10 years waiting for a commercial option? No. They've sat there for the last 15 twiddling their thumbs waiting for their own launch option. We got a vehicle that works, man. Let's go. Get that upper stage going, or we could just, or we could just take this and, put that on top of SLS, or even better, put that one on SLS. Screw it. Put this one up there. Don't forget, a lot of the Apollo money went into building a VAB, 2 pads, 3 mobile launchers, 2 machines that could move millions of pounds. That is what I mean about recouping your investment, goalie. That's development of the launch vehicle. We had to build the VAB. There was no market for a 10-meter launch vehicle. We had to build that. We had to build it out. Not utilizing that technology to grow the space flight economy is one of the most dastardly things that has ever been done to NASA. It's probably the single stupidest decision that any stakeholder that had anything to do with NASA has made, period, full stop. The second stupidest, getting rid of Constellation. Yep, in that order. Exactly, Aqualex, for sure. Didn't Apollo's budget also cover the entire Gemini program? Not to my knowledge, Redbeard. I don't think so. And guys, if we want to cancel SLS, if you want to make the argument for doing that, what I would contend to say is get rid of its upper stage. Get rid of its upper stage. Find a commercial application for the upper stage and utilize that instead and build the adapters for it. I think that would probably be a cheaper solution at this point. But if if you wanted to get rid of that, I'd be fine with that. I want the SLS hardware that works. Core stage and the SRBs. That's what I want. I want that. I want those ones. Those work. Those work great. We should keep those. NASA should start working on a space plane. Get in touch with Lockheed, dig out the X-33 out of mothballs and update it. Why? How's the X-33 or Venture Star going to get you anywhere closer to the moon, dude? The next step for Saturn V was Venus. Was some of that money pre-planned for that, or would have been a totally different banknote system? Goalie, that was part of the Apollo applications program. The Apollo applications program was the next step. AAP was the next step. They were already implementing it. Some of the Apollo applications program we saw. The lunar rovers, for instance. That's a good example. The longer duration missions, the LEM that could stay down there for 3 days instead of 1 day, like the Apollo 11, 12, and 14. Skylab, another good example. The CSM, there was also another Apollo applications program that turned the cargo storage area on the command service module into a gigantic space telescope. Yeah. And they used it to map the moon. Yep. That was part of the AAP. It was already starting to be implemented. If we just went with it, we would have been fine. Like, it wouldn't have been that much R&D. The most expensive part was, like you said, building all the infrastructure to get this thing to go up. It's not. It's going to keep NASA astronauts up to the new space station in orbit when they build big stuff to get out to Jupiter and Saturn. Okay. Anything moving away from SLS is just another 15-year program unless NASA changes their boop. Also, reusable rockets really don't make a lot of sense for quick and low-cost lunar deep space exploration operations. Agreed. Scaling up SLS is the solution right now. I know people don't want to hear that, but it is. Because if we do... guys, I'm telling you, I will not say cancel a NASA program until there is an analogous commercial equivalent. If there is not an analogous commercial equivalent, saying get rid of this program because we have a cheaper way to do it is a very, very, very weird way of saying I want NASA to get less money. Let's not do that. Be careful saying that stuff. But it is very clear that on the flip side of that SLS needs to do something because it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. Your experience with building and running modular spacecraft considering the ISS. I don't understand how you guys are justifying the X-33 and Venture Star as a viable pathway for NASA over the next 15 years when something like Starship exists. Why are we doing that? Is that a launch tower? Actually, yeah. Hold on. Yes, it is. Interestingly enough, their launch tower model has some type of reinforcement here, but I don't know what that's for. Read the rest in all caps. If you had regular access to LEO in tandem to SLS, and you made a medium thrust, medium efficiency system like that new NTR as a propulsion module, then we'd be a lot closer to what we want. I did read what you said, and my point still stands. I'm failing to understand how you don't get that what I said is still applicable. I have no problem scaling SLS up, but before we do that, can we launch the dang thing a few times? So in order to scale it, you want to launch it more. You need more rockets to launch it more. You guys aren't making a lot of sense right now. It's too low for a crew access arm, boo-boo, from what I can tell. Hey, Predominant, what's up, man? I dropped it. I dropped the thing. Make SLS land back. I love RS-25 engines. Because it's redundant and fully under NASA control then. Hope everyone's doing well. How's Breen Titan? Yeah, Breen Titan's doing okay. Yeah, they're doing just fine. But see, you guys want NASA to make something that is already redundant in the commercial market. You're asking for a low Earth orbit access vehicle for working in tandem with SLS. Put Orion on a New Glenn, or a Vulcan VC6, or Falcon 9. Why would NASA want that redundant capability? Look, man, I love Ares 1 and stuff just as much as the next person, but in Ares 1 right now for NASA it doesn't make sense. Just put it on a commercial. Put it on New Glenn. That'll work. It'll work just fine. The point I'm getting at is let's use the thing. SLS is like the hot new muscle car that we took years building and then drove it twice. Yeah, they're working on that. That's what I mean. We got to scale it up. Scale up the flight rate. I've seen some refer to New Glenn as 720 and 940, which is honestly better than 7x2, 9x4. Yeah. Sorry, misinterpreted, got frustrated. The reason why NASA needs its own reusability is the same reason why it needs tandem systems for all other elements, like a lunar lander, like you keep saying. It plays the same role USPS does in keeping connectivity. Oh, yeah, I suppose if you wanted to make that argument, that'd be fine. With that being said, I wouldn't do it with a Venture Star or an X-33. I wouldn't do that. Figure the crane out. For the most part, RJ, I'm very tired today, fellas, and I'm not able to organize my thoughts as well as I usually can. It's because I streamed for like 15 hours yesterday. It was a great stream for what it's worth, but yeah, they would need something else for the translunar injection, but if they have the mass to spare, perhaps a kick stage. Oh, tape, I got you. Cool. Have you talked about Super Heavy V3? No, I haven't even gotten that far. How many SLS boosters do we have on back order? We have Artemis 2 is in the VAB. We have Artemis 3, Artemis 4, and Artemis 5. Artemis 4 and Artemis 5 got funded in the One Big Beautiful Bill. So Congress is funding it on a mission-to-mission basis, which is not great. Not a good way to not a good way to do that. That's not really conducive for a sustainable lunar program, which is funny to me. So we have 3 rockets that are paid for. Yeah, for the most part. And whatever other money they want to piss away on, like, you know, and SLS engineers interpretive basket weaving classes or something geek. I'm telling you, a program with no clear goals is going to incentivize wasting money. You know, so we got to launch it more. It needs clear goals, not. And that's why I don't really mind the president being like, oh, put it back up there in 2020. We got to get people back to the moon in 2028. Good. All right. That's going to galvanize NASA and make them work instead of them just sitting there taking interpretive basket weaving classes. It's because Congress doesn't want a sustainable lunar program. They just want to be China. Tennyson, I don't believe that. But it's not for the reason that you think, dude. I don't believe that because SLS is a lunar program. It's quite sustainable. It's one of NASA's longest running programs, save the space shuttle. So Congress does want a sustainable lunar program. My argument has always been if the president doesn't give them a solid goal to do, that sustainable lunar program is going to maximize wasting time, which is basically what has been going on for like a decade and a half. But hey, whatever, it's fine. Put down the darn pen. Whatever. Not a pen, it's a thumb drive. Either way, if SLS doesn't scale, it's going to go the way of the dodo. That's going to happen 5-10 years down the road. And that's going to suck because just as people say now, oh, get rid of it, NASA could save so much money. That is just basically doublespeak for saying defund NASA. And it's very interesting to me that there are a lot of higher minds here that think that that's, you know, oh, NASA could save money so they can use money on other missions. That's not how NASA budgeting works at all. That's not how that works at all. If you cancel something, the funding's going away, and guess what? It's most likely not coming back. Case in point. Not sure if SLS flight number and Starship flight number is really that good of a comparison. Like, you're eating Texas barbecue right now and you aren't. So anything you say right now sounds like womp, 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 womp. All right. I had lasagna today, dude. Now what? Not really, since launching with SLS would still be expensive. No, it wouldn't. It would not. The more you launch it, the more the unit price goes down because total cost involved development is roped into your unit launch cost because that's how government contracts work. Astronaut, go ahead. Sorry, I had to log on. You forgot Apollo-Soyuz. I didn't realize the Apollo-Soyuz test project used the Saturn V. That's weird. You knucklehead. You knucklehead. SLS versus Starship launch cost? Sasquatch, if you can find me any price on a launch cost of a Starship Block 3 that isn't from Elon projecting that the cost could be as low as $2 million a pop, I'd really appreciate it. Still costing over $2 billion a year for less than a launch a year. That's purely construction. How much would it cost to do more than one a year? Fox, listen, The price will go down. That is development costs. That's the reason why it's carrying such a big price tag. It's development cost. We spent a long time developing SLS because instead of spending a big lump sum like the Apollo program all at the beginning, we've been funding its development over time. And that's going to make things expensive because you're paying engineers to do something that they could have done in 1 year over 15 years. And guess what? Their salary isn't changing. Salary has to be competitive with the industry. Does that make sense? A lot of these costs right now, Fox, are incurring upkeep of facilities that aren't being used. It costs, they're maintaining pad 39B and doing nothing with it. If you launch stuff with it, you know, that maintenance cost doesn't go away. It just gets roped into pad mission operations because refurbishing the pad for a mission is part of that, is part of the cost here. Does that make sense? The $2 billion is not development anymore. Regardless, I agree with you on it. Okay, Knucklehead. I was going to say, I didn't forget nothing. Yeah, Ethereal, that's it. You spread development costs across every launch. Every launch you do, and the faster you develop your rocket, the less outsourcing you do. Basically, if we kick SLS into overdrive at this point, by scaling it, the price will go down. I don't understand how people don't understand. Like, Fox, where are you getting confused? You somehow think that the price will stay the same. It doesn't. There's no, unless SLS is using a fixed price system, which it's not. It's using cost plus. Price is variable. Price per unit is variable. That's the plus side of cost plus that people don't understand. The price can go down with cost plus. We just have a program with such a terrible goal that it just keeps going up. Credits will do fine. No, they won't. Yeah, Darker Player, that's what I'm getting at, dude. You can get the price per launch down with economy of scale. I mean, no matter what, guys, it's very, like, this is the main point that I'm getting at is that if all right, let's we're getting a little bit too far into the weeds here. For the price to go down now, though, you need to make cost savings, which basically would require remaking the production line from bespoke to something else. You seem absolutely sure that the production line that carried a heavy price tag was for bespoke launches. Think you're some kind of Jedi waving your hand around like that? I'm a Toydarian. Mind tricks don't work on me. Only money. No money, no parts. No deal. Anyway, we're getting too far into the weeds. The point that I'm trying to get at is that if SLS doesn't scale up, it will get canceled. I don't think that's a good idea that it will get canceled. I think if we scaled SLS just like the commercial industry is scaling, NASA could build out a moon base and then have these rockets resupply it. That would be really cool. That would be a cool thing to do. Just like how the space shuttle built the ISS and that created a whole commercial market. That gave us essentially SpaceX. Kind of important, kind of a cool thing to do. NASA should just do that, rinse and repeat with SLS boosters all the way to the moon, build a moon base, build gateway, and then go to Mars and do the same thing. But if they don't do that, well, it's very clear that someone's going to. Am I right or am I right? Basket weaving might be useful when they need to revert to craft sales to fund their programs. Yeah, right. I agree, Ethereal. SLS with current production capacity could hit 4 times a year. The only reason they don't is because we don't have a goal. Either way, dudes, I think this is pretty crazy. The 9x4 variant of New Glenn is an absolute monster of a vehicle. And it's very clear that Blue ain't playing any games. Yeah. I saw a lot of people ask this question, and you know what? I didn't really have the answer to it, guys. A lot of people in chat were asking, like, what does ULA do? Well, I don't know. I have no idea. ULA will be good for Department of Defense missions, but with the current, like, national security space launch contract, right? Eventually you're going to get to another round of funding, and eventually there's going to be a vehicle that's just better than Vulcan. Like, dude, I would contend to say that New Glenn is, in 5 years, New Glenn will be better than Vulcan. It'll be more capable, fully reusable, no need for SRBs or anything like that. Wasn't ULA trying to get sold? Wouldn't it be something if Amazon actually bought them? I don't think, or Blue Origin actually bought them. I don't think that'll happen. I really don't think they will. Why? Why would they? Why would they buy ULA? They sell engines to them and make a lot of money off of it. Why would they buy them? Why would they buy it? That's just getting rid of your customer base. ULA definitely has to get something going, or they're going to go the way of BlackBerry and the iPhone. Yeah, exactly. They've already dropped from 60% share to 40% share under lane 2 and haven't won anything in lane 1 yet. Would Rocket Lab's Neutron make Vulcan redundant? No. Neutron's too small. I see New Glenn perhaps buying them, Blue Origin perhaps buying them so New Glenn can get a launch vehicle that they are already supplying. Or Northrop Grumman perhaps buying them so Northrop Grumman can get a launch vehicle that they are already supplying after Omega and all. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, too many acronyms, dude. Interesting. Yeah, that would be something, Uncle X, yeah. Isn't Northrop Grumman already working with Firefly? Yeah. ULA have already stated they fill out a specific niche in the market. They're already flying Kuiper missions, and they're the best at launching national security missions due to their accuracy. I mean, Ben, by that logic, every Project Kuiper mission should launch on a Falcon 9. What has launched more? Who's launched more Project Kuiper satellites into space? Has Falcon or Vulcan launched, or Atlas launched more? Hold on. Has Falcon 9 launched more Project Kuiper satellites into space than... Atlas has what, Phil? Three Kuiper missions. Falcon has 2. I have a better question. What does Arianespace do? I can show you, interestingly enough, speaking of that is pertinent to subject matter. Here, take a look. What do you guys think of this? Three with 27. Falcon has had 3 with 24. Interesting. It's funny how all repeat payloads end up on a Falcon 9 at some point. Yep. So check this out, dude. This is coming from Amazon Leo, which is Project Kuiper, which, yeah, they decided to rename it, and Okay. Washington, Florida, French Guiana. We've completed initial processing and begun shipping our satellites for our first mission with Arianespace. Satellites are transported in specialized temperature-controlled containers en route to French Guiana, where they'll be processed and integrated ahead of a launch on Ariane 6-4. Yufa man, what's up? Stufaman, I have a childhood friend in Quebec who owns a scrapyard garage in Matapedia, but he also bought an Angus farm, 40 heads as of now. Nice. I kind of benevolently manage the scrapyard. Yesterday or the day prior, I saw you with an old blue car. Please message me the specs. I'll be delighted to find you the parts you may need. Can we pause Space News for a second, chat? That Stufaman here. So I typed in the trim into chat. That's a 69 Coronet sedan. I specifically need a... If I could find a junk sedan that has good rockers, let me know. In fact, let me put it to you like this. If there's any 68 to 70 Chrysler B platforms in this scrapyard, just let me know. That Coronet is a Canadian car. It's a Canadian purchase order car, which is very interesting. Rocker panels. Hold on. Just quick thing, chat. I swear this won't take very long. All right. So here is a... Let me get a picture. So this is a 69 Coronet sedan. That's my blue car. I need this part right here. This whole piece. If I could find one that's like junk that has this piece right here and all of that right there, that's what I need. The rockers are these things. That's what they're called in English, Stufaman. Actually, I need quarter panels too. Oh, geez, that's rotten everywhere. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, let me put it to you this way, Stufaman. Any Chrysler B platform. So that's Coronet, Charger, Plymouth Roadrunner, Plymouth GTX, Plymouth Satellite. Any of that. If there's anything like that in the scrapyard, any B platform, Chrysler B platform cars from 1968 to 1970, let me know. Did you think about 3D printing? 3D printing? Have you looked in Texas? Nothing rusts there. It's not that I haven't or haven't looked. Do you do CAD? Yeah, of course. It's not that I have or haven't looked, guys. It would just make it easier. Just make it easier to do. I'm gonna repair it anyway. If I have to make it myself, I'll make the parts myself. I'll do it. It's not a big deal. Hang on, I'm just cleaning up tabs. All right. If only someone could manage to reach me with the listed specs. I'm a fish-brained fisherman. Okay. I'm sure I could go and find one, but Quebec's a lot closer than Arizona, dude. I live in a part of the United States where the Canadian border is closer than like 90% of destinations in my country. Like, I live in the top right corner of the United States. Canada's like right over there. It's not far. All right, dude. I'll email you if I think of anything, dude. But thank you. That's cool. Yeah, dude. And for the people that didn't know, that's my old car restoration project. I just finished the trunk. Doing the entire trunk for this car. This car had basically nothing from the rear wheels back. I had it completely gone. And yeah, just fixing it. Made some great progress on it. I wanted to make more progress today, but some of the welds didn't come out good. Some of the plug welds have too much porosity. They're gonna rust. So I'm gonna fix them. Cornets were a thing there, though. I know, Stufaman. That car was sold in Ontario. Yeah, that Dodge was built for the Canadian market. It's a Canadian purchase order car. I know because I have the build sheet for it over there. Restoration. Yep. You developed a passion in reaching scrapyards all over North America. I was doing a similar buyer job for off-road machinery prior to this. Huh. Grind it out and redo them. That's what I'm doing. I ground off. That's what I did this morning before stream creation. There were welds with too much porosity. I ground them completely off. Yeah. There wasn't much. There was like 13 or 14, something like that. I already have them ground down. That's why I had the light. If you look, no, that's not it. If you look, I have a light set up on the back of the car so I could really look at that's one of my old studio lights that used to be in here. And then I redid the lighting setup. I had the idea of bringing it out there so I could look at the welds. You're getting a grinder for Christmas. Yeah, I know. So I ground down all the porous welds and I'm just going to re-plug weld them. But yeah, we did 204 welds for that thing yesterday. 204 plug welds. And I think 13 of them were bad. That's pretty good. That's pretty good considering I'm relatively new at welding. The vast majority of those plug welds are fine. That's all right, stupid man. It's all good. Actually, Stufaman, Ernok, if you want to be my point man on this, dude, I know you'd kind of be into it. Stufaman, send one of my moderator, Ernok. Send him the email. Ernok, go forth and find car parts if you want to. Yeah, Pegasus XL secured another launch one, man. That's right. Catalyst Space Systems bought the final Pegasus launch, and that they're launching a payload to boost NASA's Swift Space Telescope on orbit. That's going to launch next year. What are the plans for this evening? I'll tell you what the plans are. The plans are looking at this picture. Somebody gave Stupid Man a sub. There you go. Too bad. I was hoping it would stay unused and end up in a museum. There's already a Pegasus in a museum, dude. There's a Pegasus XL sitting next to Discovery at the Udvar-Hazy Center. Don't worry about that. That's already been done. Back on space. Out of everyone, I think ULA is the closest in terms of experience and heritage to directly rip plans from NASA modernizing them for Venture Star. Aqualux, do you really think that's going to happen? Yeah, they're the closest in terms of experience and heritage. Do you think they would actually do that? Do you really think that, or are you hoping? I think you might be hoping. I can hope. All right, cool. No, hoping is fine. Dude, friendly fire. I like Venture Star too. I think it's a great idea. But also, that's a lot of hopium, man. That's a lot. That's an awful lot, even for me. Ernok is who you're looking for. Ernok, tag him. Tag the man. Also, Stupid Man, you got gifted a sub, by the way. See, Kraken, that's what I'm saying, dude. Pegasus XL technically still has the production facilities open, so if people want to fly on it anyway, they can easily build more. I would love to see that, Ethereal. You know why, guys? Because Pegasus, you know what? I am going to use this as an excuse to show pictures of Stargazer again, and I don't care. I don't care that that is what we're doing. I just, I think in light of recent events, I think that it has been proven that the Lockheed TriStar is the superior trijet. It is the superior trijet. It's the superior three-engined plane. Pretty much on all levels. You know, where they don't attach pylons with Heim joints. Like a bunch of idiots. Do the engines fall off? No, they do not. Actually. The best part of Pegasus is the TriStar. Dude, that is such a... I think... Like I said, personally, I think this plane looks superior to the MD-11 pretty much in every facet. Yeah, then yes, this is the better one. Yeah. See? The doors, in fact, do not fall off. Lockheed, guys, it's the Lockheed. It's the same people that made the SR-71, dude. SR-71, F-117, U-2, Lockheed Constellation. They made good, but Lockheed made good. They make good planes, man. I'm just saying. It'd be cool to see them get back into the passenger game, but the number 2 engine failure leads to a total hydraulic failure. Yeah. Turns out that trijets aren't really the smartest idea. I think that, the 747 is superior. I saw the new report, DH. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that. I think nowadays we could design around that. Yep. $34-year-old one, man. Yeah. Will the front fall off? No, not on a TriStar. TriStar's, I mean, don't get me wrong. We're talking wide-body American airliners. The 747 is the GOAT, and that's never changing. You want that PDF? I don't know if I want to talk about that too much, dude. It's quite depressing. I wanted to show you guys this. SpaceX showed... So last night, guys, Booster 18 rolled out to Massey's. Yes, Booster 18. Starship V3. It rolled out to Massey's for proof testing. Airbus planes are pretty good, to be fair to Europe. I'm talking about American planes, Ethereal. Why you gotta go bring that commie nonsense in here? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Relax. Relax. You're gonna talk about Airbus at a time like this? What's wrong with you? Damn gombadists! Look at that, dudes. That's pretty good, man. So check out some of these pictures. They're... Oof. Woof. I was about to type stuff. Dude, look at the, you know, Skywatcher Jim in chat pointed this out the other day. Look, the chines on the, that's the back side of the booster. They're actually bigger on the back side of the booster. IL-76 is superior to American planes. Brother, the IL-76 is a frigging tractor with wings. I do not want to fly around on a tractor with wings. I'll take a C-17, thank you very much. Professional insults on a closed course. Please fly responsibly. Half of me thinks due to the new propulsion, this will be a Flight 1 repeat, and the second half of me thinks this will do its first mission flawlessly. I think it'll be fine, Erudite. I honestly think Flight 3 will go off without a hitch. Or not Flight 3. What are we up to? Flight 12? This will be the booster for Flight 12. I think it'll be fine. This has the 3 grid fins, but they're not plugged in. They're not plugged in right now. And this side does not have a grid fin. The sides with grid fins would be here, here, and then the back side. The grid fin is on the side with the shorter chines, believe it or not. So, super heavy here. If we're looking at super heavy from the business end, right? And you know, you have your 3 engines here, and then you have your ring of 10, and then your ring of 20. That's not a circle. Right? You know what? Instead of drawing all the engines, I'll just write SH. So the long chines are up here. Like that. This looks like Poland ball now. Right? And then the other chines are down here like this. Actually, they're more like that, but see, these ones are clocked here and here, here and here. Now, the crazy thing about this is that there's a grid fin here. There's a grid fin here. And there's a grid fin here. But once again, these chines that are on top, those are the long, I've just erased those lines. Those are the long ones right here and right here. Very interesting design. There's also, I noticed that there's these blisters on the sides here. I'm not sure what's going on there or there, but yeah, that's that or there. That's not in previous designs. Whatever it is, it only goes down to... Oh, it goes down to the chines. Okay, that makes sense. And the raceway is in the chines from there. All right, I get it. Gotta boost them all. Gotta boost them all. So, The long chines are for improved aerodynamic flight characteristics. So, yeah, these ones down here, the ones that are spread apart, Knucklehead, is for body lift. Think New Glenn's wings. Like, New Glenn's wings are over here, like that, right? They're just a little bit stubbier and they're clocked down here. Now, the reason why they're like that is because when oncoming air comes at the booster this way, it's going to get compressed right here. And the chines are going to force it into this grid fin. They're going to force it up the side of the booster, and they're going to shoot it into that grid fin, which is why they don't need a fourth one over here. There's no reason to put another one over there. And this will also generate body lift, giving Super Heavy a little bit more cross-range capability. But it'll be dead soon. Freaking kangaroos. No. No, Foz, you want to hear something crazy? The catch pins are on the grid fins right there. The grid fins are structurally integral. Yep, catch pins on the grid fins with Block 3's design. S-tier reference. Russia's like, motherland! Sorry. So it does that cool thing that the Valkyrie did? It's not necessarily compression lift, but it kind of is, but it kind of isn't. Who is this? What is this, Erudite? Who tweeted this? Tyler Bell. Who's that? Oh, yeah, that dude. Yeah, no, that guy's cool. Oh. Woof. Oh. Oh, my goodness. Look at that. That's kind of bananas. Dude, I don't know. Like, okay, I get it's stainless steel. I understand that this is stainless. Makes perfect sense. You know, it can withstand the heat. It's not that big of a deal. But also, seeing all the guts just on the side, on the bottom of the booster is really throwing me. That's really weird. Yeah, external plumbing. Exactly, Foz. I'm looking at it. I'm like, what? That's how that's going to fly? And the answer is yes. Super Heavy's going to fly like that, dude. All the guts are just hanging, just bolted to the side. It's very weird. But it's like what we were talking about with New Glenn's a little bit earlier, especially with the two Glen variant, the big New Glenn, right? The 9x4. I'm never going to get used to that. Anyway, the bigger variant of New Glenn, did you see how big the wings were? You take a huge hit when you try to reuse a stage this big. Outdoor plumbing, yep. Best part is no part. Why have a thermal protection system when every part is a thermal protection system? Because you made everything out of steel. Whatever. Is that the autogenous pressurization system in the center? Dude, Tistry, I have not studied V3 architecture enough to know what any of this does. It's metal. And it has something to do with making the engines go. These could be the AP lines right here. Yeah, it's possible. But they're both connected into the same thing, so maybe not. Who cares about drag when you have enough thrust? Yeah, this isn't... Believe it or not, guys, this is not going to make that much of a perturbing... It's not going to make that much of a turbulent force. It really isn't. The chines are probably going to push most of the air out of the way. Like, let's look at that. Yeah. Maybe not. I mean, yeah, the chines are definitely gonna. Some air is gonna shoot off over here, but honestly, having this pipe lead this whole thing, having the pipe lead this whole thing, air is gonna get compressed up against it, and it's gonna shoot out and over it, guys. You can do aerodynamic trickery like that. I don't think it's any secret in this design that there's a pipe here and there's a pipe there that are both similar. And when the booster's flying backwards, actually the engines are probably going to push most of the air out of the way. If not the dance floor, so like the bottom of the structural bottom of the booster, not the engines, air is going to get compressed up in there, and then most of the air will just shoot out over the sides, which is why, like in other footage, when you see Super Heavy coming back, why the center of Super Heavy coming back to land glows. And nothing else. Here, this footage right here. See what I mean? If you look at the path, so like this is this little plume right there is from the chill. Well, it's vapor cones first of all, but actually the vapor cone makes it really obvious. Take a look. When the booster is flying engine section first, now keep in mind this is a Block 2 booster, not a Block 3. Block 3 hasn't flown yet. But the engines, all the air gets compressed up in here, and because you can see that it's heating up in there, and because it gets compressed, right, air behind it kind of piles up in this area of compression, and it shoots off to the side. That's why the vapor cone coming from this is shooting out sideways, and it kind of goes out a little bit and goes back. And that's also the reason why you see this huge shock going this direction, because the air doesn't like changing directions. When air gets forced to change a direction like this, it does weird stuff like that. I mean, that's a good way to say that. So on the way down, all this plumbing hanging off the side, it's going to go right. Most of the high pressure airflow is going to go right around it. If anything, you're going to get low pressure around this, and it's not going to be that aerodynamically. It's not going to create as much drag as you think. Now on the way up, it's not too much. If we're doing like a non-dimensional calculation of the profile of all that stuff hanging off the side of the booster, like if we're trying to figure out the coefficient of drag of that, it wouldn't be too much. It's not a lot. It's maybe these pieces are maybe like this big. And if they just put a slat, like if it's a pipe, the air will just go around it. With that all being said, it still looks very bizarre having all the guts hanging off the side of the booster. That looks very strange to me. I have an idea. Put Stuka mounted ram air sirens on the chines. Can you imagine the Stuka noise being made right here? That would be awful. I mean, it'd be cool, but it'd also be terrifying. I still can't believe that's happened multiple times at this point. They've done what? 3 catches, right? Flight 5, Flight 7, and Flight 8. Oof. Stupleman correspondence is away. Thank you, Arnok. You were a gentleman and a scholar. Right, Davensky? It's kind of nuts, dude. You are mounting a Stuka siren to your RC Carbon Cub as we speak. I can't believe I got to see it. It's history. This is January. This is Flight 7. I saw that thing come in and land, and that was the strangest thing I've ever seen. But it also this takes the cake. That's the coolest thing I've seen in spaceflight thus far by a long shot. The reason why Flight 7 was the coolest thing is because I saw Flight 7 from liftoff all the way to staging. I saw the booster turn around, come back down, and land. It was there. It was totally blue sky that day. I saw the thing. It's about as good a flight conditions as you can get. I saw that thing up in space with no telescope. I tracked super heavy all the way up, like just watching it. Saw it turn around, saw it come back down and land. I saw this. That was okay. All right, the thing's only freaking 70 meters tall. Whatever. It's 220 feet. No big deal. It's a 22-story building, just coming back and landing. Yeah, it's fine. You still remember the flying grain silo landing on the crusher? Remember the flip out legs, Eddie? What about the fire that goes up the sides? Won't that affect the exterior lines? I mean, Strict, they're made out of stainless. I think they'll be fine. This is only momentary heating, dude. And it's not a high temperature difference, dude. I don't think that's going to be a problem. Anyway. Yeah. Booster 18 rolled out and they're proof testing it. Guys, we're gonna get a flight sooner rather than later, man. It's gonna happen. And man, I'll ask you the same question I asked your chat in Discord. If you were gonna sit down and have a beer with a rocket company CEO, who would you pick? Yours would be Peter Beck or Tory Bruno. People won't like this answer, but Elon. Yeah, Elon or Jeff for me. Jeff's a huge rocket nerd. I've seen Tim's videos were very eye-opening. He's a huge space guy. Like, it's pretty obvious from Timmy's videos. I would talk to him or Elon. Yeah. There's no wrong answer. No, I know. It would be Elon. Elon would be on my short list. Yeah, that's who I'd want to sit down and have a brew with. Sure. Like, it's really coming into light how big of a space nerd Jeff Bezos is. Like, I mean, guys, you saw that rock. You saw New Glenn 9x4, right? Like, this guy isn't playing, dude. And you know what's pretty cool? I know that people aren't like the biggest thing about people having billions of dollars, but we have quite actually some of the two richest guys on the planet hell-bent on growing a commercial space economy. One on Mars, one in space, and on the moon. Could be spending it on stupider things, like I'm good with this. This is fine. Shots with Shotwell. I'd hang out with Gwen for sure. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Or Tom Mueller. Tom Mueller would be up there, Edmana. Tory Bruno would be up there too. I like Tory Bruno a lot. Peter Beck too. That would be fun. Peter Beck would probably drink you under the table. Let me put it that way. He just seems like that kind of dude. I mean that in a good way. He also buys sci-fi movie props and space stuff and displays it around the offices. There's like, I wish, dude, these like a Blue Origin cast, they just need to get Jeff on there and just talk about rockets. Just talk about your rockets. That's all you got to do. I could listen to Jeff do that for like 4 hours. No problem. Easily. Oh yeah, there goes my rocket up there. Oh, that's great. Yeah, really look at that thing go. That's really cool. Like, dude, just do that. I'm good with it. That's fine. Like, just, dude, like, once again, it was Tim's videos with Jeff that really kind of ticked me to it. I'm like, oh, you got the space tisms. I have that. Oh, man, let's go. Like, I'm like, all right. I see your game, Mr. Amazon guy. Who designed Blue's engines? A bunch of different people, Strict, but the original chief designer on the B4 is a guy by the name of Andy Lapsa. Andy Lapsa doesn't work for Blue anymore. He's founded Stoke Aerospace instead. If you had a table of 6 to fill, who'd be sitting with you other than Glenn Beck and That's got to be an autocorrect. What? Then Elon, Peter Beck, and Jeff. Does it have to be aerospace CEOs or just people in the aerospace industry? And second part of this question, do they need to be alive? Do they need to be alive? This is important. Henry Ford. Well, how'd you know? Today, though, you could give the other answer too. Oh. No, you can't ask Von Braun. Damn it. Jared Isaacman, yeah. Okay. My aerospace roundtable. Okay, let's just pick 5 people. Elon, Jeff, Gwen, Tom Mueller, and George Sowers. George Sowers. That's what, yeah, that would be the 5th at the table. Not a lot of people know who that is, but that's fine. I would also want to talk to Tori Bruno. I was about to say Jeff Beck, but it's Peter Beck. Jeff Beck is a musician. George Sowers worked for he worked in experimental propulsion technologies for ULA before they let him go. He retired. He is okay, so Centaur 3, the newer versions of Centaur, his idea. Like Centaur 5, that was his call. George is pretty cool. Deep cut. George could tell you all the great ideas that died. Yeah, that's right. And Jack Byer, of course. Oh yeah, it's sure. James Webb, well, like the Skunk Works of ULA, that's correct. Now, okay, any people in the aerospace industry throughout any, like, dead or alive, okay, I would want Sergei Korolev, Von Braun, Yuri Gagarin, Neil Armstrong, it's a good one. John Young. Even though John Young is basically a push, he wouldn't say anything. He'd just be like, yep. He'd just be like, yep. Yep. Yeah. Kelly Johnson would be up there too. Yeah. Yeah. Dare I say, replace Neil with Kelly. Neil Armstrong would probably agree with that. He'd probably be like, yeah, why am I here? Why am I here? Look at those guys. Be flipping his pen, dude. You'd dine with President Kennedy. Is it bad if I watch his moon speech at Rice University like probably once a month? Is that bad? That's bad. We will not flounder in the backwash of space. Jim Lovell's a good choice, yeah. I mean, I think that everything that President Kennedy said in that speech at Rice University is pretty much still relevant. Like, you could give that exact same speech today, it would still be relevant. Listen to that speech at the gym. And no nation that's expected to be the leader of other nations should fall behind in space. It's a great speech, dude. It's so... My politics is whatever that speech is. You know? It's a joke. I'm just kidding. Also, guys from my neck of the woods, you know, if you're from New England, you know we look out for each other. Even if, you know, like you disagree on things. If other people disagree with a guy that's from your hometown that you disagree with, you put your differences aside and you gank the person that's not from here. Okay? That's how this works. That's how this works. Okay? Can we listen to it? You want to listen to Kennedy's speech right now? All right. There's not much else space news, guys. So if you guys want to, that's what you want to do. I don't have a problem with that. It's an awesome speech, and I think it'll get DMCA'd. I don't think it will. Well, you know what? I'm willing to risk the VOD for it. I'm willing to risk the VOD for it. Are you guys? You guys want?
This morning's program will be opened by the singing of the national anthem, followed by the invocation to be given by the Reverend Don Peavy.
Uh-huh. Oh, this is the whole thing, dude.
Today,
be quiet. Here we go.
noted for
All right. The audio on this one isn't great. Let's try this one. There we go. Listen to this. You want to understand why we like space so much, this encapsulates it pretty well.
President Pitzer, Mr. Vice President, Governor, Congressman Thomas, Senator Wiley, and Congressman Miller,
Miller.
Mr. Webb, Mr. Bell, scientists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate your president having made me an honorary visiting professor, and I will assure you that my first lecture will be very brief. I am delighted to be here, and I'm particularly delighted to be here on this occasion. We meet at a college noted for knowledge, in a city noted for progress, in a state noted for strength, and we stand in need of all three. For we meet in an hour of change and challenge, in a decade of hope and fear, in an age of both knowledge and ignorance. The greater our knowledge increases, the greater our ignorance unfolds. Despite the striking fact that most of the scientists that the world has ever known are alive and working today, despite the fact that this nation's own scientific manpower is doubling every 12 years in a rate of growth more than 3 times that of our population as a whole, despite that, the vast stretches of the unknown and the unanswered and the unfinished still far outstrip our collective comprehension. No man can fully grasp how far and how fast we have come. But condense, if you will, the 50,000 years of man's recorded history in a time span of but a half a century. Stated in these terms, we know very little about the first 40 years, except at the end of them, advanced man had learned to use the skins of animals to cover them. Then about 10 years ago, under this standard, man emerged from his caves to construct other kinds of shelter. Only 5 years ago, man learned to write and use a cart with wheels. Christianity began less than 2 years ago. The printing press came this year. And then less than 2 months ago, During this whole 50-year span of human history, the steam engine provided a new source of power. Newton explored the meaning of gravity. Last month, electric lights and telephones and automobiles and airplanes became available. Only last week did we develop penicillin and television and nuclear power. And now, if America's new spacecraft succeeds in reaching Venus, we will have literally reached the stars before midnight tonight. This is a breathtaking pace, and such a pace cannot help but create new ills as it dispels old. New ignorance, new problems, new dangers. Surely the opening vistas of space promise high costs and hardships, as well as high reward. So it is not surprising that some would have us stay where we are a little longer, to rest, to wait. But this city of Houston, this state of Texas, this country of the United States was not built by those who waited and rested and wished to look behind them. This country was conquered by those who move forward, and so will space. William Bradford, speaking in 1630 of the founding of the Plymouth Bay Colony, said that all great and honorable actions are accompanied with great difficulties, and both must be enterprised and overcome with answerable courage. If this capsule history of our progress teaches us anything, it is that man in his quest for knowledge and progress is determined and cannot be deterred. The exploration of space will go ahead, whether we join in it or not. And it is one of the great adventures of all time. And no nation which expects to be the leader of other nations can expect to stay behind in this race for space. Those who came before us made certain that this country rode the first waves of the Industrial Revolution, the first waves of modern invention, and the first wave of nuclear power. And this generation does not intend to founder in the backwash of the coming age of space. We mean to be a part of it. We mean to lead it. For the eyes of the world now look into space, to the moon, and to the planets beyond. And we have vowed that we shall not see it governed by a hostile flag of conquest, but by a banner of freedom and peace. We have vowed that we shall not see space filled with weapons of mass destruction, but with instruments of knowledge and understanding. Yet the vows of this nation can only be fulfilled if we in this nation are first, and therefore we intend to be first. In short, our leadership in science and industry, our hopes for peace and security, our obligations to ourselves as well as others, all require us to make this effort, to solve these mysteries, to solve them for the good of all men, and to become the world's leading spacefaring nation. We set sail on this new sea because there is new knowledge to be gained and new rights to be won, and they must be won and used for the progress of all people. For space science, like nuclear science and all technology, has no conscience of its own. Whether it will become a force for good or ill depends on man. And only if the United States occupies a position of preeminence can we help decide whether this new ocean will be a sea of peace or a new terrifying theater of war. I do not say that we should or will go unprotected against the hostile misuse of space any more than we go unprotected against the hostile use of land or sea. But I do say that space can be explored and mastered without feeding the fires of war, without repeating the mistakes that man has made in extending his writ around this globe of ours. There is no strife, no prejudice, no national conflict in outer space as yet. Its hazards are hostile to us all. Its conquest deserves the best of all mankind, and its opportunity for peaceful cooperation may never come again. But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too. It is for these reasons that I regard the decision last year to shift our efforts in space from low to high gear as among the most important decisions that will be made during my incumbency in the office of the presidency. In the last 24 hours, we have seen facilities now being created for the greatest and most complex exploration in man's history. We have felt the ground shake and the air shattered by the testing of a Saturn C-1 booster rocket, many times as powerful as the Atlas which launched John Glenn, generating power equivalents to 10,000 automobiles with their accelerator on the floor. We have seen the site where 5 F-1 rocket engines, each one as powerful as all 8 engines of the Saturn combined, will be clustered together to make the advanced Saturn missile, assembled in a new building to be built at Cape Canaveral, as tall as a 48-story structure, as wide as a city block, and as long as 2 lengths of this field. Within these last 19 months, at least 45 satellites have circled the Earth. Some 40 of them were made in the United States of America, and they were far more sophisticated and supplied far more knowledge to the people of the world than those of the Soviet Union. The Mariner spacecraft now on its way to Venus is the most intricate instrument in the history of space science. The accuracy of that shot is comparable to firing a missile from Cape Canaveral and dropping it in this stadium between the 40-yard lines. Transit satellites are helping our ships at sea to steer a safer course. Tireless satellites have given us unprecedented warnings of hurricanes and storms, and will do the same for forest fires and icebergs. We have had our failures, but so have others, even if they do not admit them, and they may be less public. To be sure, we are behind, and will be behind for some time in manned flight. But we do not intend to stay behind, and in this decade we shall make up and move ahead. The growth of our science and education will be enriched by new knowledge of our universe and environment, by new techniques of learning and mapping and observation, by new tools and computers for industry, medicine, and the home as well as the school. Technical institutions such as Rice will reap the harvest of these gains. And finally, the space effort itself, while still in its infancy, has already created a great number of new companies and tens and thousands of new jobs. Space and related industries are generating new demands in investment and skilled personnel, and this city and this state and this region will share greatly in this growth. What was once the furthest outpost on the old frontier of the West will be the furthest outpost on the new frontier of science and space. Houston, your city of Houston, with its manned spacecraft center, will become the heart of a large scientific and engineering community. During the next 5 years, the National Aeronautic and Space Administration expects to double the number of scientists and engineers in this area, to increase its outlays for salaries and expenses to $60 million a year, to invest some $200 million in plant and laboratory facilities, and to direct or contract for new space efforts over $1 billion from this center in this city. To be sure, all this costs us all a good deal of money. This year's space budget is 3 times what it was in January 1961, and it is greater than the space budget of the previous 8 years combined. That budget now stands at $5.4 billion a year, a staggering sum, though somewhat less than we pay for cigarettes and cigars every year. Space expenditures will soon rise some more, from 40 cents per person per week to more than 50 cents a week for every man, woman, and child in the United States. For we have given this program a high national priority, even though I realize that this is, in some measure, an act of faith and vision, for we do not now know what benefits await us. But if I were to say, my fellow citizens, that we shall send to the moon 240,000 miles away from the control station in Houston a giant rocket more than 300 feet tall, the length of this football field, made of new metal alloys, some of which have not yet been invented, capable of standing heat and stresses several times more than have ever been experienced, fitted together with a precision better than the finest watch, carrying all the equipment needed for propulsion, guidance, control, communications, food, and survival, on an untried mission to an unknown celestial body, and then return it safely to Earth, re-entering the atmosphere at speeds of over 25,000 miles per hour, causing heat about half that on the temperature of the sun, almost as hot as it is here today, and do all this, and do it right, and do it first before this decade is out, then we must be bold. I'm the one who's doing all the work, so we just want you to stay cool for a minute. However, I think we're going to do it. And I think that we must pay what needs to be paid. I don't think we ought to waste any money, but I think we ought to do the job. And this will be done in the decade of the 60s. It may be done while some of you are still here at school at this college and university. It will be done during the terms of office of some of the people who sit here on this platform. But it will be done. And it will be done before the end of this decade. And I am delighted that this university is playing a part in putting a man on the moon as part of a great national effort of the United States of America. Many years ago, the great British explorer George Mallory, who was to die on Mount Everest, was asked why did he want to climb it. He said, because it is there. Well, space is there, and we're going to climb it. And the moon and the planets are there. And new hopes for knowledge and peace are there. And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure on which man has ever embarked. Thank you.
Pretty good. It's a pretty good speech. It's pretty good. Gets me fired up every time. That is probably one of the greatest U.S. presidential speeches, like, period. Gettysburg Address is like one of maybe better. Gettysburg Address. There's not much more that are better than that. Will I top that? There's some don't do that. Don't do that to my boy. Don't do that to President Kennedy like that. Come on. Think about that, dude. Think about that. Got some balls saying that. We hadn't even put somebody into orbit. We barely put somebody into orbit when he gave this speech. Get to the moon in 5 years? This is what I mean about having a plan. You know, when I always say, fellas, like, you need a plan. You got to be bold. Just like what he says. That's the only way the whole NASA system gets leveraged to work correctly. That's the only time. Every time somebody, you know, sends President Kennedy, every time somebody, like, has done that, even remotely, even a little bit, you start to see this galvanization happen. Mr. Gorb, ever down this wall? Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good, Manny. Yeah, that's a pretty good speech. That's a pretty good one. Yeah, RJ, that's what I mean. Can you think about that? Like, even if, you know, like, the past couple of presidents aren't as, let's say, eccentric as, you know, other ones. Can you imagine proposing something like that today? That's almost unheard of. Somebody said, we're going to get there. We're going to do this. We got to be bold. And I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to cost money. But we're going to do it. Because that's what we should be doing. Right? It's pretty good, man. Yeah, that's a good one, Slackster. President Roosevelt addressing Congress on December 8th, 1941. Yeah. The Empire of Japan, United States forces at Pearl Harbor were suddenly and deliberately attacked by air and navy forces from the Empire of Japan. The United States was at peace with that nation. That's a good speech, man. You get out there and you find that freaking dog. Yeah. The part of the story I don't like is where, you know, they gave up looking after the dog for like an hour. The guy didn't put posters up or anything. He just sat on the porch like a goon and waited. That little boy's got to think. You got a pet. You got a responsibility. If your dog is lost, you don't look for an hour and call it quits. You get your butt out there and you find that freaking dog. It's time to play dodgeball. I hear a little Sean Connery in that FDR. Yeah, well, whatever. Fear itself, yeah. Kennedy had a lot of banger speeches, dude. Ich bin ein Berliner. That's a good one. Yeah, Ice Crack. I guess the best I can say to that is be the change you want to see, dude. Even it's, dude. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Just on a side note, that stuff's been getting to me too, dude. Like, it's been getting to me, and it leaks on stream from time to time, and I apologize for that. We gotta stop. I want to, you know, you gotta be like President Kennedy, man. It's there, Nova. We have it. It's there. I know it's there. It's just we don't. Think about it like this. You guys ever seen Office Space? Politicians are Bill Lumbergh. We need to be Peter Gibbons. You know what I'm saying? We need to be Peter Gibbons. Congress is the Bobs in this analogy. Oh, hey, Bob. Bob. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, Daytona. That's a very good point. Hey, look out for your corn. Look out for your rocket nozzle, bud. We need to be Lauren. No, man. I'm doing a drywall up there at the new VAB. Yep. Never watched The Office. It's not The Office, RB. It's Office Space. Different show entirely. We got the fires from Imran. Oh, it's there. Just has to. Yeah, the problem is that we haven't been challenged enough. We are, in this country, we're a bunch of straight shooters with upper management written all over. We don't think the problem is with us. The problem is you haven't challenged us enough. Yeah, hi. You can call me Mike. What? You're Michael Bolton? That's your real name? What would you say you do here? Yeah, Bill, that's one of my favorites from Von Braun. We have been given the scientific knowledge, the technical ability, and the materials to pursue the exploration of the universe. To ignore these great resources would be a corruption of a God-given ability. It's a good quote, man. You want your stapler back? What? This one? Ah, yeah. Just been looking for that. I gotta staple some things. EJ, if you could bring one thing into space, what would it be? My phone. Take a lot of pictures. And then payroll told me to talk to Congress, and then Congress told me to talk to the president, and I still have not received my funding. And then they moved my rocket down to storage room B. It just set the rocket on fire. Who actually owns a stapler? Beatin, you want to hear something messed up? Me. I own one. I also write stuff down on paper. I also like keep my receipts, like paper receipts. Yeah, I still like write stuff down. I have a calendar in my kitchen. Yeah, still do it, man. I don't want that information on the internet, dude, because if it's on the internet or on a computer, someone's just gonna farm it for data. I'm not doing that. Some people staple professionally. Yeah. Yeah, I have a calendar. Oh yeah. Every time you do an FDR impression, I feel the need to play Hearts of Iron. I write stuff on paper. I told you, I staple my receipts. I keep my receipts. I staple them in a notebook. Told you. Like, was this not clear? Of course I have a stapler. And if I'm going to buy a stapler, it's going to be a red swing line. Like, where does Churchill's speeches rank? Churchill's pretty good, man. We will not go quietly into the night. We will fight them on the beaches, and we will fight them in the air. We'll never surrender. Yeah, no, that's fair, Dean. That's fair. You got that flavor. That's fine. Like Baskin Robbins, there's just tons of flavors. Never have so many owed so much to so few. So, dude, this stapler is amazing. Like, the tactile feel. Like, think about it like a keyboard. When you push this thing down and it staples a piece of paper, like, just... It's like using a mechanical keyboard. It's just... And Mana, that's fine. We're supposed to be skeptical of them. That's the whole idea. That's the whole idea. That's the whole point. Like, that's like not to like go too far off the deep end, but that's kind of the whole point of the exercise. Like, yeah. That, I'm sorry, like, unless I misinterpreted the Constitution, I'm pretty sure that's the point, you know? Like, I'm just putting it out there, dude. Like, frick me for doing that, I guess. Like, yeah, Rory, you know. I told you to check on myself. Oh, okay. Stop making it about you. It's not about you. I got it. You could do anything. Just figure out how to do an office space rounding error for SLS. Oh, shoot. Do not go silently into the night. Yeah, you hear Independence Day. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today we celebrate our Independence Day. Tar and feathers have always been fashionable. Did you know that Harps released another DLC? Oh yeah, Flip Up? What are they on about? Is that an EOTech that's on a OA1K? Yeah, okay. Yep, that's an EOTech. All right. Okay. What time is it? 8 o'clock? Yeah. We got through a good amount of space news, dudes. I'm sorry I'm not kind of bringing my A game in terms of the news. But, yeah, I'm just a little tired. We did do a long stream yesterday. And tomorrow's going to be pretty long, too. I've been trying to do longer streams, dudes, because of, See, that's how you know how I'm tired. When I lose my train of thought when I go to try to explain something. I've been trying to do longer streams so people have more VOD content to watch because I'm going to be gone next week. I think you're wearing the same clothes. Yep. Yeah, I am. It's all right. These are the shop. This is the shop stuff. Anytime you see me with a Hoonigan shirt on, it's because I'm working in the shop. Hearts is the expanded Pacific Theater. Do we have a Starlink launch in a couple hours? Oh yeah. All right. Oh, look at that. No compromise, no surrender. We're going to have to play that when we get back. Sleep and skip after hours today? I don't know, man. So, actually, you know, now... Oh, come on, EG. You're tired because you're up late watching the Bruins on the West Coast. I actually wasn't. I was doing after hours. I did like a 15-hour stream yesterday, Astro. The transfers I haven't got memory. The Ducks won that game? Well, what are you going to do? Are you doing an after hours tonight or calling it and catching up on sleep for tomorrow? I don't know, dudes. What do you guys want to do? What game would you like to play to just chill? I could get behind some Battlefield. Yeah, I know I haven't been doing my regular after hours games. I'm just... Yeah, Battlefield is kind of what I'm doing. I mean, after hours, guys, basically is games that I would be playing if I wasn't streaming Kerbal all the time. So, do you have a meeting tonight? Yeah, the Starlink launches at 10:39. So if we could probably do a couple, like 4 or 5 rounds of Battlefield, cover the Starlink launch, and then call it a day or night. So Friday Night Racing is in the off season, so we don't have racing tomorrow. I was actually going to ask you guys, what do you want to do after Flame Trench tomorrow? Anno? After Flame Trench tomorrow? Really? Okay. Guitar stream engineer. Will workers ever make a comeback, or is that just you? I want to get back to playing more Kerbal right now, Joe. That doesn't mean we won't see workers in the future. Unless I explicitly state I'm never playing that game again. Yeah, you know, it really comes down to when you want to play it, when you feel like it, you know? Workers requires a lot of energy to keep track of everything. It's really tough to keep track of all of it. So I kind of play that when I want that kind of challenge, you know? Hearts of Iron did an update. I know. Maybe we could do some GTA to end the night tomorrow. I'll talk to the guys, see if we want to do GTA. Yeah, we could also play Cities. I'll bring Cities back in December, dudes. Yeah, Timberborn's done. We pretty much beat the map, Hip. That's kind of why I haven't played it. And I'm just... Yeah, I played it out, dude. We basically beat the game. Like, we soft won the game. Like, I could build whatever I want. It's really just a matter of PC performance at this point. We should play GTA tomorrow, dude. Have you ever played Factorio? Not on stream, Fox. But, yeah. Because you do talk a bunch about not having time, I would really like to try new games on Friday nights. Have you tried Mars First Logistics? No. Yeah, I don't. Fox, I streamed Factorial once, truth be told, and I'm just the backseat. There is no like right way to play that game except like optimum efficiency. And if you don't build for optimum efficiency, nobody cares. Like people will start yelling at you, and I'm just like, okay. Okay. Ooh. Are there any updates for the Minecraft world? The Minecraft world, the Minecraft thing was, Cake, that was a pandemic project, dude. I did that to give people something to do, something fun to do, and and social interaction. I felt that would be a fun thing to do, but thanks for the Kennedy flashback of the stream. Got to go back to lurking, get some sleep. All right, Knucklehead, I will. Anyway, guys, yeah, that's gonna do it for space news. Let's play some Battlefield for another couple hours, and then yeah, if you want to stay up with me to the Starlink 678 launch, that's happening in about 2.5 hours. I'll do that. You're more than welcome to stay. We got 1080 flying tonight on its 23rd flight. 57-day turnaround. The 149th mission of 2025. For SpaceX, for Falcon 9, which is pretty crazy. It's SpaceX's 154th mission. Oh yeah, we got to stay for that. All right, let's play some Battlefield, dudes. Yeah, let's go from there. I'm gonna jog the YouTube VOD. I'll be back momentarily.